Yeah, so my name is Kolja. I'm from the ISM International Office. And yeah, I think let's jump right to the matter. Yeah, ISM, International School of Management. We're actually very proud to be one of the best private business schools in Germany, which of course is not only our own point of view, but the result of several rankings and ratings institutions. So we have, for example, this so-called AACSB accreditation, which makes us one of the top 5% of economic faculties worldwide. It took us quite a long time to get this, so that's why I always like to mention that right in the beginning. We're actually the only private University of Applied Science in Germany with this accreditation, so just to have mentioned that right in the beginning. So what can you expect from the next hour? I'm going to share a few key facts about ISM, about our university. Then I will hand over to Professor Dr. Burkhard Bamberger, who will introduce the Master of Science in Finance. This will be the longest part of the webinar, and at the end we have a few minutes for a little Q&A session. So in case if you have any questions, feel free to save them for the end so we can answer all the questions you might have. There's lots of information we can share with you. Please understand that we cannot answer all the questions today, I'm afraid, but UniEd.Ventures is happy to help you. So please, after the session, if there are any questions left, feel free to contact the agency and yeah, get all your questions answered. So I will start with a few key facts. We are a private University of Applied Science, meaning we are very practical orientated. Almost all of our professors are CEOs themselves. They're chairman from the board. They have their own companies. So they really are from the field. That's the perfect career boost for our students right from the beginning. We have German and English taught programs, but even the English taught programs are all German degrees. So after graduation, you will get an 18 months work visa, work searching visa. So that is for sure if you want to stay in Germany after graduation and work here as well. And this year we have 34 years of experience in education, as we were founded in Dortmund in 1990. This is, for example, where Professor Bamberger and I have the offices. So this is our main campus. We have 6 more campuses all over Germany, trying to be everywhere. Very important, not all of our programs start at all campuses. And we also have 2 intakes, one in March, one in September, and not all of our programs start at both intakes. So our website is very detailed when it comes to that. So please feel free to browse a little and see for yourselves or contact us or the agency directly. This is our motto: international, individual, and inspiring. We try to live the international in International School of Management. So currently we have students from around 80 different nationalities. We're partnering with around 190 partner universities. So plenty of options for our students when they have a semester abroad. We have a lecturer-student ratio of 1:7, which allows us to professionally support the students right from the beginning. And yeah, as mentioned before, we are a University of Applied Science, so very practical orientated. In one of our recent surveys, we once again confirmed that 90% of our students find their first job after graduation in under 6 months. So as mentioned, 18 months work searching visa, job searching visa after graduation. So yeah, well ahead in that statistics. And yeah, I might add, quite proud about it that we do not only have a good reputation in Germany, but also in several countries worldwide. So that was a little marketing part. Now I'm going to introduce the academic programs. We have just a small glimpse because time is short today. So here we have our full-time on-campus bachelor programs. As you can see, several programs here. The ones marked with the Union Jack in the back, the British flag, are the all English taught programs. So every course, every examination, everything will be 100% in English. No need to speak any German when you come to Germany here. for these programs. We will need an English language proficiency of level B2 or an IELTS 6.0 overall, TOEFL 80 points plus or PTE 59. The German language, as mentioned, is not required, but you will have German language courses, so you have the option to learn German at your time in Germany. So these will be 3-year programs, 6 semesters. Then you can finish the bachelor's at ISM. Master programs, the list is even a little longer than the bachelor programs. Here again, the ones marked with the British flag in the back are the all English taught programs. Again, an English language proficiency of level B2 is required, IELTS 6.0 or equivalent. We also accept the so-called MOI, medium of instruction, if your bachelor studies were already in English. So that is basically the requirements for this program. So for the bachelor programs, I think we can go into more details later in the Q&A session, but just to have mentioned that very shortly. So for the bachelor programs, we will need 12 years of school and the English language proficiency, so you can apply for the program already. So for master programs, we will have the bachelor degree certificate and the English language proficiency. So there will not be a certain GPA that is required to apply at ISM. We have our own admission test. I can share some details to that later if you want to. All right, so that was a little fast, but now comes the juicy part of the presentation. So I hand over to Professor Bamberger. Professor, thank you very much for being here today. You have the word.
All right, thank you very much, Kolja. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for making the time to listen to what the Master of Finance program at ISM has to offer. Before I get into the nitty-gritty detail, I would like to introduce myself and highlight some of the some of the challenges I encountered in my career, because you already heard that we pride ourselves with a very hands-on, a real-world practice-oriented program, and some of the concepts we teach at ISM, well, during my professional career, I encountered a lot of these challenges in real life. Now, I kicked off my career at KPMG in Frankfurt, Germany. I started off in the M&A department. So what was my job there? I was doing a lot of company valuations, due diligence work, transaction management. I did an international rotational assignment in Chicago in the US, where I worked for 2 years. And this is where pretty much continued my work I started in Frankfurt. So that means, again, a lot of valuation and due diligence work. When I returned back home to Frankfurt, I ended up working a lot for one client, which actually became my favorite client. I advised a consumer electronics company based in Germany into fairly large transactions. One transaction was selling an automotive business to a US conglomerate, United Technologies. And the second assignment was helping Matsushita, a Japanese consumer electronics company, better known under its brand Panasonic. They had an interest. They owned a share in Löwe, and they wanted to sell it. Now, my part at KPMG was advising them to sell it to a financial investor. And ultimately, it was 3i, a UK-based financial investors, who became a 30% shareholder in the business. Now, with private equity, with financial investors, it's kind of normal that at the time they make the investment, they already think about how to exit such an investment. And their plan was to take the company public. What does it mean? It means you do an IPO, an initial public offering. That means a company which is privately held is sold to the general public. So what you have to do, you have to retain an investment bank and walk through a process which typically takes half a year. And at the end of the day, the company is listed at a stock exchange. Now, since Löwe knew this is going to happen, they were looking for a chief financial officer. Now, since I believe I have everything it takes to become a CFO, well, I applied for the job and, well, I was quite lucky. I got the job because shifting from a consulting work to well, a corporate position is not that easy. But since I had, well, advised the company on 2 transactions, presumably this is why I got the job. So I became CFO of the company, and my first job was actually doing the IPO, which ended up to be quite successful. The company was performing well. 3i, the financial investor, was able to sell its shareholding, and well, the company was quite prosperous. After a total of 8 years, it was time for me to move on, and I was approached by headhunters whether I would like to, well, be, whether I would like to work for a bigger company in a different industry. And well, this is when I signed up with a retail conglomerate. If you have ever been to Germany, to Europe, you may have heard of Douglas Perfumeries. It's the closest rival to Sephora, a well international player, the closest competitor to Douglas, similar to same, pretty much the same size as Douglas. And I became the company's chief financial officer. But it was not just the perfumeries business we were running. We also had a books business, Thalia, the market leader in the German-speaking countries, also jewelry business, fashion business, and confectionery business. So all in all, we ran more than 2,000 stores. The company was a listed corporation, market capitalization. That means number of shares outstanding times stock price was roughly 2 billion euros back then. And again, a listed company. Well, that business was well, performing quite nicely until Thalia came under some pressure because of intense competition from Amazon. And that was the time when the idea was born to take the company private. Now, this is just the opposite of an IPO, right? The company was listed at a stock exchange, and a financial investor made an offer to buy all the shares. Now, the financial investor who tried to do that was Advent International. And Advent is one of the largest private equity companies based in Boston, in the US. So they made a public tender offer for all the shares and took the company private, which means they owned all the shares. The company was no longer listed at a stock exchange, and they did something which is called asset stripping. What does it mean? They bought a group with 5 businesses, and they ended up selling all the businesses to other investors, mostly financial investors. Well, that was the time when I moved on and decided to do something entirely different in my life. Rather than being a CFO, well, remember that I always took pleasure into explaining stuff to people, to teach, and I started to try that out. It was a lot of fun, and this was roughly 8 years ago when a full-time professorship was offered to me. at ISM, and I, happily took the challenge, and I became the program director for the Master of Science Finance program for ISM in Germany. Now, why did I tell you all the details of my professional life? Because what we try to do with this program is design a program which gets you ready for, what's out there, what you may have to tackle if you aspire for a role in a large corporation. If you want to make it to the C level, if you want to become a CFO, you need certain ingredients to make that happen. And this is what we built into this program. I will walk you through what areas you will have to understand and to learn, but you will find that a lot of the buzzwords I just used in my introduction show up in the curriculum. However, this is not just a CFO-centered program. It also caters to people who aspire to become bankers, whether it's investment banking or commercial banking, whether you want to find a role in asset management, or if you want to work for a big four company, for example, in audit or in tax consultancy. We cover everything you need in order to get ready for a career like that. Now, on this slide, I try to summarize some of the key facts of the program. Intake starts in fall. So if you are accepted to the program and if you move to Germany, you should be here by the end of September, because this is when classes start. Well, a question which is often asked, what if I arrive late? Well, obviously, this is far from ideal, but if there is some delay on the visa side, we do offer some hybrid format. So if you are here, well, you'll find yourself in a classroom setting. If you don't make it here in time, you will be able to follow via Zoom. Again, this is not your ideal solution, but if this what it takes to, well, save a year, not having to wait for the next intake, it may be a viable solution. You can study in the Master Finance program, not just in Dortmund and Frankfurt. This is where I teach. You can also study in Munich and Berlin. So these are the four destinations for you. Now, which one is better or worse? It really is pretty much up to your preferences. The program is identical. It is the same examinations, and it's the same script and curriculum that is used across all four campuses. Now, Frankfurt, that is the financial hub in Germany. Well, this sets Frankfurt a bit at an advantage because a lot of students love to go there. Admission requirements. Well, this is something I think Kolya is much better prepared to answer any specific questions you have on. There also is the 100% English speaking content, which you already pointed out. So in this context, there is no need for you to speak any German to successfully complete the Master of Finance program. However, we still recommend you to learn some German. This is just an opportunity for you because this is a full immersion program for you. And especially when it comes to the practical experience, you will find that being able to communicate in German actually puts you at an advantage. I will point out that there is some mandatory internship built into the curriculum. And even if you have a lot of international companies with offices in Frankfurt, for example, you will still see that being able to communicate, at least in basic German, is helpful. All right, so how does the study plan look like? The first semester is exclusively taught at ISM, so you will take 5 modules, and each module is 6 ECTS, so you should be able to collect 30 ECTS in the first semester. I will dive into the modules later. This is just the first overview. The second semester is then focusing on 4 different modules plus the first phase of your internship, which accounts for another 6 ECTS. The third semester, this is the semester abroad. I will explain later, and that accounts for 24 ECTS, plus the second practical phase, your second half of your internship makes up for the remaining 6 ECTS. The last semester then, the fourth semester, is all about you writing your master thesis. Now, this, I promise, will keep you busy, but you will have quite some flexibility where you write your thesis, right? You don't have to be on site, and there are no lectures on the side for you. So, fourth semester exclusively dedicated to your thesis. All right, so let's walk through the 4 semesters. The first semester is starting off with a module we call quantitative methods. Hopefully here, as it comes to financial mathematics and statistics, a lot of the stuff we teach you should hopefully be, sound quite familiar to you already. During your bachelor's, during your time at school, well, you should know algebra, probability theory, how to calculate interest, also, some basics about descriptive and inferential statistics, how to do a regression analysis or some other stochastic models. That is something you should be familiar with. And if you're not, well, we will explain it to you again. It is designed as a refresh, but if there are some gaps, well, you have a chance to close these gaps. Financial modeling and investment decisions is something you may not have fully covered up to that point, because what we place a lot of emphasis on is that you know how to do financial modeling. Now, what is that? If you start working in an investment bank, you will find yourself the first couple of months in a row where you do a lot of modeling. No matter whether you do a company valuation or you put together a liquidity plan for a company, what you need to do is start off with a set of financial statements, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow statement, build in some assumptions, and make some projections, some plans on how the future is going to look like. And if you do that correctly, these integrated models will allow you to put some valuation module on top of that, or some liquidity planning module. But at the end of the day, doing these integrated models is a skill you must have if you want to have a career in finance. So this is one of the building blocks of the quantitative methods module. Also, based on these models, you can do your own analysis as to whether capital investment projects, CapEx projects, are good investments or not. You will learn about net present value calculations, internal rate of return, how does it compare against your weighted average cost of capital? Should you proceed with this transaction? Should you proceed with this investment? Yes or no? This is what you will learn about in the first module, quantitative methods. The second module is about investing and financing. Asset management. Well, if you want to become a fund manager, if you want to work as an institutional investor, you will need to understand the basic concept of how to allocate assets in a portfolio, how to measure performance. There are some very popular metrics, the Sharpe trainer information ratio you will learn about, and also answering the question, not just is our performance good, also answering the question, why is it good? That is called performance attribution. And that is breaking performance down into two main components, and that is the allocation and selection effect. Also, debt and equity securities. We will do a deep dive there, but we will do it from an investor's perspective. In corporate finance, this is another course in this module, we also will look at equity and debt. However, we will do it from an issuer's perspective. It's the same animal, the same concept, but we will look at it from two different perspectives. In asset management, from the investor side; in corporate finance, from the issuer side. Now, the issuer, that in finance lingo is the entity that is looking for funding, and the entity issues a certificate, a bond, a share certificate, and in return receives funding. Now, this is what we do in corporate finance. We ask ourselves, what kind of funding alternatives are out there, and how much debt, how much equity we should have on our balance sheet. And the key question is there an optimal capital structure, right? And we will learn about a model which allows you to quantify capital structure decisions, and by doing that, generate shareholder value. Now, this is asset management and corporate finance. Capital market theory is the underlying theory, because we will need the CAPM, the capital asset pricing model, to calculate cost of equity. And we will also need some portfolio theory basics in order to make asset allocation, right? So this is capital market theory, an important building block within this model for you to understand both asset management and corporate finance. Next in line is derivatives theory and application. This is a little bit dry topic, also more quantitative. There is some, well, if you remember what we discussed in quantitative methods, some of the concepts you are introduced to in that module, you will need to apply in derivatives and in option pricing. This is all about futures and options market. You will understand how pricing works, how arbitrage opportunities may present themselves, and you will also learn about something which is more important in practice, that is so-called real options. So this is the derivatives theory and application, and next in line is financial reporting and business law. What you will see is that we have this topic covered in the first semester because we will need to make sure that there is that you have the fundamentals understood in the first semester in order for you to build on that in the second semester. So this is why there are some, well, similarities between financial reporting and business law here and advanced reporting in the second semester. Now, what do we tackle there? First of all, accounting. Accounting is very important because a lot of the information in the world of finance is taken from financial statements. Therefore, you need to understand how you put together financial statements. And you know that there are plenty of accounting standards out there. We mostly focus on IFRS. This is International Financial and Reporting Standards. And chances are, if you work for a larger corporation, they will apply IFRS. Taxation, something a lot of people dislike, but it's a reality, and you need to understand the principles of taxation, especially in cross-border business. Double taxation agreements are important for you to understand, and you also need to understand different types of taxes. It's a big difference whether your income is taxed, whether we're looking at capital gains or value-added tax, right? We will address all of that. Well, then there's also the law. Civil and common law is at the heart of agreements you make. And, well, in corporations, there are tons of agreements which you will have to honor. And if one party doesn't honor them, well, you need to understand what kind of mechanisms are out there to, well, find a mutually acceptable solution. So conflict resolution is a big issue because you don't want to end up in front of a judge all the time if you find a solution on your own that typically is advantageous. The last module in the first semester is, let's call it about soft skills. So the 3 courses within the module tackle a lot of different issues. It starts with corporate social responsibility, understanding what kind of stakeholders are out there. You may have heard about shareholder value maximization, but this is just in the interest of the owners. Well, there are many other stakeholders who might be interested in the corporation, and how do you balance the different priorities of all the different stakeholders, right? So this is CSR, and then there is, in terms of soft skills, communication skills. Well, you might say we all know how to communicate these days. However, in a business setting, communication works differently, and this is what you will learn about. Also, negotiation techniques are important for you to learn because, this in business is an important skill you should have. Cross-cultural leadership. Well, obviously, International School of Management is a place where you will meet a lot of different cultures, and it is important for you to navigate these waters efficiently because you need to be aware of cultural differences and how to address this fact of life. Well, this concludes the 5 modules you will cover in the first semester. Now, in the second semester, it is more about doing a deep dive into various fields and building on the fundamentals we covered in the first semester. So I already mentioned that advanced reporting builds on the model I just discussed. We will look not just at IFRS frameworks in general, but we will do a deep dive into some standards like revenue recognition, financial instruments, or deferred taxes. We will also look at real world examples. So we will pull financial statements of a listed corporation, and we will look at how they accounted for certain transactions. What's also very important is to understand that if you look at financial statements, they're financial statements on corporations, on legal entities, and there is also group financial statements, which kind of tell you how the entire group performed in a given year. And this is called group reporting. That's important for you to understand because most financial statements you will ever look at are group statements. So understanding basic consolidation techniques, elimination of intergroup transactions, and how to calculate goodwill is something we will cover there. Also, all the reporting requirements according to ESG will be covered, and also the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. This is also a pretty comprehensive set of rules, will be covered in that context. Lastly, within this module, auditing. Well, even if you don't want to become an auditor, if you believe that working for the big four companies, that's not you. If you end up in a corporate role, if you become a CFO, well, you will find yourself in a different role, but still auditing will be a very real challenge for you, because the company will get audited on a regular basis, and you need to understand what the auditors are doing there. They will ask you a lot of questions. They will ask you to perform a lot of documentation. So you better understand why they want this information from you and what the ultimate purpose is of auditing. Okay, so next is regulation, rating, and risk management. Financial market regulation, this is all about banking because banking is heavily regulated. You need to understand what kind of regulation is out there, and we will focus on the Basel regulation and the regulation put together by the European Banking Union. This is at the heart of commercial banking. So that is what financial market regulation is all about. Investment banking, that's a different topic. This is going to be the next module. Rating, however, is something you may have heard of. You heard of Moody's, S&P, and Fitch being the biggest global players in the rating industry. And what do? Well, they help investors assess the risk of default. Because if you understand the risk of default, you will have an idea what kind of returns you need to generate if you decide to take on that exposure. Financial risk management, well, if you end up working in a bank, this is a big issue for you because financial risk management is, well, very important. And over the last years, it has, well, substantially increased in importance. It is important to learn about credit risk, market risk, liquidity risk, and funding risk. And it's not just knowing what kind of risk is out there, it is also about quantifying risk. For example, value at risk is a way to assess risk quantitatively. Well, we almost made it. We're at 8 out of 9 modules, and this is one of the most interesting modules. This is, mostly about what investment bankers do. Public and private market transactions. When I introduced myself and talked about IPOs, private equity, going private, this is all business that is facilitated by investment bankers. And it's important to understand, how does a leverage buyout work? What do investment bankers do in transactions like this? Why do they make so much money, right? What is it that they bring to the table? What do you need to know if you want to become an investment banker? So this is public and private market transactions. Part of what investment bankers do is also advising on M&A transactions. The theoretical concept behind M&A is not that challenging. What is a big challenge in reality is advising on a transaction. This is why we have an M&A case study here as a part of this module. So this is not just the theory, this is working through a real life M&A case and get an idea, what do you do in a due diligence phase? What kind of analysis do you do? How do you use the learnings out of your due diligence in order to, well, improve your negotiation position, or in order to introduce some reps and warranties in your definitive agreements. This also relates to another important question, and that is about, what's the value of the business? How do you do evaluation? You may already know that there are different valuation approaches out there, and discounted cash flow, market multiples, and you also can do some asset-based approaches, or you can look at how, well, financial investors do valuations. This is slightly different. This is the LBO method. We will cover all of them, and you will learn how to value businesses. Some of the big issues there are how to assess earnings quality, define net debt. Is it debt or is this working capital, right? And also working capital adjustments in terms of, is there excess inventory? How should we treat that in a valuation? Again, it's not just theory. This is also about looking at real world equity valuation reports and try to understand how things are done in practice. Frontiers in finance, the last, and I think also one of the most interesting modules, is about, well, the innovation in the digital arena, artificial intelligence, blockchain. What is going to be the impact on the world of finance there? So we will look at not just blockchain and other digital assets, also at emerging trends, what's at the horizon we need to learn about. We also at ISM have a very interesting master's program. It is about business science. It's about data science and well, what is it? Data science and well, I don't know. It must have been on the list we looked at. And the program director there, he made himself available for teaching a course within the Master of Finance program with the focus, how can we apply these tools to the world of finance? And he will teach you about how to, program in Python. His big topic is explainable AI. And actually, as part of that course, you will build your own robo-advisor, which means you will use an AI to put together a portfolio of financial assets. So extremely interesting. And I now remember the name of the course. It's Business Intelligence and Data Science. All right. Well, then the very last course within this module is our capstone project. Now, this is sort of a blank piece of paper. We do not tell you in which area you do a deep dive. We will talk about your areas of interest, and we will put together an assignment which will be, well, your personal project guided by your professor, and you will do the research, you will put together your presentation, and, well, you will also give this presentation at the end of the semester, and that will be the basis for your grade in the capstone project. So ideally, this is an area where you dive into your favorite topic and, well, get to a level where you clearly exceed all the basic requirements and use existing research to really gain a deep understanding in a given field. If you're lucky, you can build on this project in your master thesis. That is the key idea behind the capstone project. Now, since I'm slowly running out of time, let me quickly tell you about the third semester. This is the semester abroad. You will be able to choose from a list of 30 partner universities, and this is just the first page of that list. You will find that information on our homepage, and you will, work through this list, and I'm pretty sure that you will find a pretty wide range of institutions which will hopefully sound attractive to you. Double degree, that's something a lot of students go for. Why? Because honestly, it's not that much extra work, but you will get a second master degree of some partner university. And here we're looking at this list of partner universities. And for the last years, I have to say that a lot of students went for that options. And when they return, they always tell me they had a great time at these partner universities. And on top of that, they had a master's degree of these universities. Well, then you also may have heard of the CFA Institute. We are a university partner of the CFA Institute. And if you want to get ready for the Master of Finance program, if you pass or at least study for level 1, well, this is an excellent idea. If you do the exam while you're at ISM, you will have the chance to apply for a CFA scholarship, and that will give you substantial discounts on the admissions fee on the exams. Lastly, last slide, Refinitiv Icon. This is a very powerful database. If you do quantitative research in financial markets, this is the place to go. We provide you with access, and if you do a quantitative study in your master's, this is an excellent source for your analysis. Well, and that is, well, maybe just 1 or 2 minutes over time. This is the end of my presentation, and well, I'm open for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Professor Bamberger. We really appreciate the insights of Masters in Finance. I'm sure it will be quite helpful for students to have an in-depth knowledge of the particular program. So we do have some questions in the chat box, and I would request students who have any questions, please input in the chat box so that we can read out for you. So one of the questions that has been asked in the Q&A, I would just read it. How does computer science graduate ends up more into finance industry? Can you please elaborate if one does computer engineering and does more into fintech companies? How is job market in Germany for fintech companies? So I would request any one of you, Kolja or Professor Bamberger, to answer this question.
Well, from my perspective, if you have a strong technical background, and if I say technical, what I mean is data science, um, whatever AI related fields you are proficient in, you have zero problems finding a job, and not just in the world of finance, also in other industries. There are a lot of fintech companies, and well, this skill set will turn out to be extremely helpful in that context. But there are many other startups and also mature businesses which they look for this expertise. So in the best case scenario, if you're a data engineer, if you have a bachelor's in data science already, well, if you put a master of finance on top of that, I don't see any problems for you starting a successful career.
All right, thank you, Professor. We have one more question from Bilal. Bilal is asking, would you like to inform about the semester fee, admissions fee? So I believe,
Yes.
Kolja, you are the right person to answer.
Maybe I take over here at least this
Sure.
question. Yes. We have bachelor and master programs here. So the bachelor programs will be 5,970 euros per semester. And the master programs will be 6,480 euros per semester. So application admission, let me add that, is free of charge. So no fee for that. We just have a one-time non-refundable enrollment fee, which is 1,500 euros for non-EU students. Okay, so I will share it in the chat again. So many numbers, quite confusing. So just...
Yeah, and how many semesters also someone has asked?
Yeah, so for bachelor's, normally it's 6 semesters, 3 years. There's an optional 7th semester if you want to gain more ECTS. For example, if you want to shorten the master program of 1 semester. But the regular will be 6 semesters for the bachelor's. The master's will be 4 semesters, but you have the option for the fast track that would be 1.5 years then. So 3 semesters.
Perfect. Thank you, Kolja. I hope students, you got the answer about the semesters for bachelor's and master's. In case you still have any confusion, please do write us. We will help you with that. Okay, one more question which Emmanuel has asked. My bachelor's degree is from UK. Do I still need to prove English proficiency test?
No, because we have the situation that the student already studied in English, so we can call this the medium of instruction. As soon as we have the confirmation from the university that the studies were in English, yeah, we can simply use this and do not need any additional language proficiency. Here at ISM, it might be an option that the German embassy needs some kind of English proof for the visa, but this needs to be checked with the embassy directly, please.
Sure, Kolja. So for ISM English, proficiency can be waived off if in case of such cases.
Exactly, yes.
Perfect. And yes, there are some students who ask me also this question, is German language important? So I believe you have already cleared in the beginning. So because for Germany, most of the universities, they do ask to do some course for German language.
Well, to summarize my answer again, it is voluntary, but it is highly recommended,
Okay.
especially if you want to, well, don't set yourself at a disadvantage hunting for an internship. It is just helpful to be able to communicate in basic German.
I
Perfect.
totally agree on that. Yes, just one little addition for the bachelor's, the German language course is mandatory. So for the bachelor's, you will have to learn German as soon as you come to the campus here. For masters, it's optional. Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So that answers this question. If still anyone has any confusion or doubts, please do let us know. We can help you with. Also, you can ask any further questions, students. If you have any further questions, please drop in the chat box. We would be glad to answer your questions. Meanwhile, Kolja, when is the deadline date for the fall semester? When should students start applying for?
Very good question. Yeah. So normally we communicate the application deadline of 15th for July for the upcoming fall intake, which starts in September. However, this is a soft deadline, I might add. So even if you are a few days late, please still contact us or contact, in this case, UniEd.Ventures, of course. So we might still have the option to consider your application.
Absolutely. So students, you can start off your applications or you can start off with your profile building with us, and we would definitely help you forward for your master's program or your bachelor's program with ISM Germany. So we are here to help you with, as I already mentioned, we are here to help you with your documentation. We are here to help you with your overall profile building, and we also help you with your visa assistance. So please do get in touch with us. I will also share some links for your reference and my email ID in case you require any material from today's webinar, from today's presentation, or you require any kind of participation certificates. Please do write an email to me. I will just share my email ID and some links in the chat box. Meanwhile, if anyone has any questions, we would wait a minute to answer your question. Please feel free to drop in the chat box. I have just shared the website and the email ID and the phone number. You can get in touch with me. So I believe the visa process will take time. So Kolja, how much time does visa take so that students can be well prepared in advance? Like they can start off their applications early, not wait till June or July.
Yeah, so that depends actually a little bit on the country the student comes from. So there are countries that take a little longer, for example, Pakistan or Nigeria. Some other countries are rather fast, so that really depends. My suggestion is always the same. Start with the preparation and the application as early as possible. People need time to adjust, not only to gather all the documents, but also at the time of arrival in Germany. You need to adjust to your new daily life. You need to find an accommodation and prepare all this. So please take this serious and take care of all these things as early as possible.
Sure, Kolja. Thank you so much for giving us heads up. I would really request students to please get in touch with me. You can copy paste my email ID and my phone number. And I would really request you to visit our social media channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Please follow us for any further webinars that we will host with ISM and other universities that might be helpful for you. So I believe there are no more further questions in the chat box. I believe students have already got an insight about the program. And if there are any questions, please feel free to let us know. I would definitely help you get in touch with Kolja again if needed. If you want to personally speak with him regarding your admission process or regarding life in Germany, or after your postgrad, what are the opportunities for work process related in Germany, we probably can again have a session about that, about how Germany can offer a great work-life balance for you after your graduation from ISM. So thank you so much, Vanita. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everyone's time. Thank you, Professor Bamberger, for your time and your valuable insights regarding finance. We really appreciate your valuable time and your valuable insights. And thank you, Kolja, for organizing this webinar with us and being very supportive as always, and supporting us to meet our students and have a session with them. Definitely, we will follow up with the students, and whoever is interested, we would definitely get in touch with you again in case they have any sort of further questions related to the program or related to any queries that they have.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sina. Always a pleasure. Thanks everyone for joining today. Thank you, Professor. Yeah, if you have any questions, if we can be of any help, let us know. Always happy to support you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Surely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a great
good
day, everyone.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining once again. Have a lovely day.